Hello CraftDee family, and welcome to another tutorial by She's So CraftDee. For today's DIY projects, I will be sharing some of my DIY top picks that you can recreate with all of these Dollar Tree supplies. Now, of course, I always include the full list in the description box, as well as all of the helpful links. Now, to my amazing subscribers and visitors, I wanted to say hey, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you definitely should, so you could be the first to see hundreds of fresh and original craft ideas on my channel. So, let's just dive in and get started. Now this project is a wood metal look family sign. Now we're going to need one 3-pack of the 5-gallon paint stir sticks from Lowe's for 98 cents, some poster board letters from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to need a piece of poster board from the Dollar Tree that we will turn into this metal look piece. So we're going to take our paint stir sticks and we want to lay them out, stacking them on top of each other, just making sure that the handles are opposite of each other on this piece. Now to join these together, I will be using some extra craft sticks that I had on hand, and these are the long ones, so I'm going to go ahead and cut them off, and then I want 4 pieces laying across the back. Now you do want to make sure the numbers and measurements are facing you. Now to adhere these, I'm just using some wood hot glue, or you can use regular wood glue. Just apply those sticks all the way down the back of the piece. Now once they're adhered, I did notice I did have the measurements on the good side. So all you have to do is just go in with some sandpaper, and they sand off pretty easily, and then wipe the front clean and you're good to go. So we're going to lay out some paper, and we are going to be staining this with our Waverly Antique Wax. So I'm just going to take my rag and apply a nice even layer all over the front of our piece, just making sure you wipe it down after you apply the wax to get a nice even coat. And here is the layer on the front and the back side. Now while that dries, what we're going to do is work on our poster board. Now this is the poster board piece that's 18 inches by 6 inches. What I did is I embossed lines on it, and I also painted it with silver spray paint and then dabbed it. Now I do have a tutorial on how to do this. I'll link it in the upper right hand corner of this video and also in the description box below. So what we're going to do with this piece is we are going to cut some pieces out of this with the lines going across them as shown here. So we're going to take our utility knife and cut out 3-inch wide pieces. Now what we want to cut is we want to cut a total of 3 pieces for this project. Now once we do that, we are just going to fan fold the pieces, and your embossed lines makes this super easy to do. And once you fan fold it, we are going to find the center and then cut that piece in half, so we'll have 2 galvanized looking metal pieces, and then repeat this for the other 2 pieces. And now you have a total of 6 for your sign. So at this time you can go ahead and grab your poster letters, and I want to spell out the word family on my pieces. So I'm going to take each poster letter and place it right in the center. Now these probably won't stick very well to this, so what we're going to do is we are going to add a little bit of hot glue, then place that sticker right on top, and you just have to secure it in a few places. Now these letters will be kind of floating on top of the galvanized looking pieces, so you just want to make sure you secure it in a few places and then place your letter right on top, so it'll stay right in place. Now you just want to repeat this until all of your letters are applied. So now your wood piece should be nice and dry, and we are going to start to apply our hanging piece. Now you can use jute twine or rope, but I decided to use this gingham ribbon. I thought it was super cute, so I'm just going to add it to the back of the sign. I'm going to go ahead and hot glue each side in place, just making sure you secure about a couple of inches of that ribbon on each side, making sure that it has enough give at the top to look very nice from the front. Now once you secure the edges of those ribbons down, I'm going to follow up with my staple gun just to add a staple in each one of those ribbons for a little added security. So now that that's done, we can start to add our galvanized letter pieces to the front of our sign, and what we want to do is space them nice and even. And once these are evenly spaced, I'm just going to add a couple of lines of hot glue on the back of each one and secure it onto the sign. And here are all of our pieces applied, and I am loving how this looks. And there you have it, a cute family sign to hang up that would go perfectly with a photo collage. Now I really love using this faux metal technique, and especially it's so hard to find these, so I hope that you all find this tutorial useful in your craft. This project is a rustic tray with wood handles. We're going to need one of these trays from the Dollar Tree. And we're also going to need some tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. Now the first thing we're going to do, go ahead and grab your tray. I want to clean it really well with some rubbing alcohol, and go ahead and remove any stickers and residue from the back of the tray as well. Now once it's all clean, I'm going to take it out and give it a couple of coats of white satin spray paint on the top and the bottom. Now while that's drying, grab all of your tumbling tower blocks, and I'm going to stain these with my Jacobian stain by Minwax. Now since I wanted these to dry fairly quickly, I'm not going to stain the entire block. I'm only going to stain the top and the sides, and then 2/3 of one of the sides where I'm going to be applying the glue. Now if you're staining these ahead of time, you can stain the entire block, but I'm going to be staining these in a method where I can glue them fairly quickly, and they only have to dry for about an hour. So what I did is I stained 4 blocks with an exposed area at the top, and then the other blocks that I stained have the bottom side unstained. So once they dry in about an hour, I can start assembling my handles. So what I'm going to take is I'm going to need 6 blocks, 3 in a row, and then I'm going to take the 2 blocks that are stained 2/3 of the way. Now I'm going to grab my carpenter square to make sure everything will be nice and even, and you want to make sure you use wood glue to bond this together. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to bond the 3 pieces of the tumbling tower blocks that are 3 in a row, and I'm going to do 2 sets of those side by side. Now once they sit for a couple of minutes or two, what I'm going to do is add glue on top of one of the set, and then I'm going to sit the other set right on top, making sure the unstained sides are connecting together as shown here, so you'll have a double stack of 3. So now we're going to add the 2 pieces to the ends as shown here, so add glue to the unstained side of that one, and I'm going to place one at each end, and what this will do is form a handle that we will use for our tray. Now I'm going to repeat this for the remaining blocks. And now you have your 2 handles, and you want to let them sit a few hours or overnight if you can. So now that our tray is nice and dry and our handles are nice and dry, we can start putting them together. And as you can see, the handles will fit on each side of the tray as shown here. So what you want to do is, first of all, I want to go ahead and take some acrylic paint, black acrylic paint, and what I'm doing is putting a dot of that acrylic paint at the bottom of each one of my handles. Now what this will do is we're going to sit this on the end of the tray, and what'll happen is that acrylic paint will transfer to the tray, and it will mark where our handles will be needed to be secured in place. And as you can see, it transferred over to the tray, and this is where we will be drilling our holes for our handle. So we're just going to go ahead and drill the holes in the handle first where those marks are. So go ahead and drill in. We're only going to drill in maybe a 1/2 inch at the most into each one of those handles. And once your handles are drilled, we are going to go over to our tray, and we're going to drill a hole through the markings where we transferred our dots to. Now you just want to be careful and just go very slowly. This tray will cut easily and without a problem. And those, as you can see here are the holes where we will mount our handle. And you want to repeat this for the other handle and the other side of the tray. So now we need to secure our handles to our tray. So the screws I decided to use are these short 1/2 inch screws that I had, and this will be the perfect size to secure our handles. So you want to flip your tray over and you want to insert the screw from the bottom, and you want to do this by hand to avoid damaging your tray. So you just want to screw it in until the screw pokes out of the other side. And then once you set your handle on there, you'll notice the hole in the handle will line up with the screw. So it's going to be easy to secure. Now don't over tighten this. You want it just hand tight. But as you can see, here is one of the handles, and just repeat it for the other side. And now you have your two handles secured to your tray. Now I wanted to add some of that distressing, so again I'm going to grab some of that black acrylic paint. I'm going to go ahead and grab a craft stick and dip it in that paint, and I am just going to drag it along the edge of the tray. I'm going all along the outside just lightly. You can add as much or as little as you like. You just do as much as makes your heart happy. And then I'm going to dip the flat edge of my stick, and then I'm going along the inside crease. So I'm going along all around that square, and then I'm going around these side creases as well. And that is it. That is all you have to do to distress this tray. All you want to do is set this to the side. But right now, what we're going to do is we are going to make something to decorate our tray first. Now what we're going to make are some moss covered balls to go onto our tray. I'm using a couple of these plastic baseballs from the Dollar Tree, and I'm also going to be using some of this green floral moss and some of this Spanish moss. So I like to use these large bowls from Dollar Tree to do all my moss work in, because it definitely cuts back on the mess. So I'm just throwing the balls inside of the large mixing bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and start pulling out my moss. Now the moss is really tangled up, so it may be easier just to cut portions of the moss out, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm just cutting out a couple of big bunches to cover up one of my balls. Now once you get enough in there, just go ahead and grab your hot glue and just start adding the hot glue in sections and pressing that moss into that hot glue really well. You're just going to keep applying sections all the way around the ball, making sure you get thick applications of that moss all the way around. Now once you get it applied all the way around, just crush it down in place, and now it's time to give it a little haircut to make sure everything is nice and even. And as you can see, here is the finished covered baseball that's got the moss on it, and it turned out perfect. Now don't throw away all those shavings. Now that they're all in your bowl, just toss them right back in the bag for another project. So now we're going to start to use the green moss. Now this is a lot looser, so you could just kind of pinch some in there. Again, we're going to use that same method. We're going to add that hot glue in sections and just start pressing that green moss all over your baseball. Just applying that glue all over in random spots, making sure it's fully covered. Now once you crush everything in place, you could just make sure everything is even, loose, and remove any loose moss and just do a nice little haircut. And now you have a nice green covered moss to go with your collection. So here is what it looks like, and then we can pair it up with our Spanish moss one, and you can make as many as you like. And I just wanted to show two for this project today to show you how they're made. So here you have it. I have added these moss balls to our tray with a few battery candles and decor. Now I think that the tray really comes in handy for so many uses, and this is just one idea for your space. Now this would work to display items on your vanity or bath, or even a decor for a kitchen shelf. Now, even though the mossy ball decor can be displayed on the tray, you can use them in many other places too. The possibilities are really endless with this type of decor. The supplies we will need are 2 of these garden fence sections from the Dollar Tree, 2 glass candle holders, 1 of these 7 1/4 by 11 inch MDF art decor frames or other frame of your choice, 4 of these silver napkin rings, some jute twine. Now Dollar Tree has this smaller jute, but I'm going to use this thicker jute I had on hand. And 2 7.5 cylindrical glass vases. Now first we're going to grab one of the garden fences and we're going to remove all of the labels. Now we need it to curve around the vases, so I'm going to roll it into a curve and then I'm going to sit it in a hot bucket of water from my tap in order to make it more pliable. So after about 30 minutes or so, I removed the fence. And now you see it's taken on a slight curve. So now I'm able to bend it without breaking, and I want to roll it into a tighter roll so it'll fit snug around my vases. Now to secure the roll, I'm just going to take some of this heat-proof string or twine and wrap it around the fence. So then what I did is I heated up a large pot of water just before the boiling point, then I turned off the heat. And then I placed my fence in for a few hours while I ran some errands. Now here is my fence after that soak, and now we can remove that twine. And now we have a nice tight roll to use for our project. So now we're going to grab the vase and determine how much to cut off the fence to fit it. Now I wanted my fence to cover about 3/4 of the vase. So I went ahead and made my mark. And then I went ahead and cut it and copied that cut all the way around the fence. So now that our height is cut, we can go ahead and remove those side tabs for the fence as well. So then we're going to cut that fence right down the center to make 2 pieces. Now, as you can see, each piece will fit perfectly around the glass vase. Now, to secure the sides of the fence, I will use some of this wire from the hardware section of the Dollar Tree, or you can use floral wire if you have it on hand. Now, all you want to do is take it and wrap it around 4 or 5 times, making sure it's tight, and then twist the ends together. So now here I'm just going to go ahead and test fit it, and it looks like it's going to be a perfect fit. Now we're going to repeat this for the other one as well. So now we're going to grab that second garden fence and our picture art piece to make the tray. Now we'll be cutting the fence in half long ways, with the top part for the front and back and the bottom part for the sides. Now I'm going to measure and mark the fence at about 5 1/4 inches down from the top. And then I'm going to transfer this mark all the way across. So now we can go ahead and we're going to first remove those side tabs and the stakes as well. And then we're going to cut down the middle where we measured. And now we have the 2 pieces. So we're going to start working with the front and back of the tray using the top half of the fence. Now we're going to cut that fence in half, and we're going to trim around each end following the existing curve, just as shown here. And now we have the 2 front pieces done. Now here I'm just double checking to make sure the fit is good. Now to work on the sides, I decided to have the flat end up. So once I figure out my placement, I'm going to go ahead and cut the fence down the middle to have two even parts. I'm going to go ahead and mark the center of the tray on the side so I can make sure the fence is properly placed correctly. So now that we know our fit, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the ends a little longer than actual, about 1/2 inch. But no worries though, we're going to cut this down to the matching size once we assemble our tray. So now we are ready to paint. So we're going to gather up our pieces and our paint supplies. Go ahead and remove any straps or hooks that are on your picture frame. And then I'll be painting the pieces with this white chalk paint. We want to start by painting the back of the fence and then the front. We want to leave some of that fence color peeking through for a worn and rustic look. Then we want to go ahead and start on a tray, and we want to paint on the back and the sides. There isn't a need to paint on the art side of the piece since it'll be on the bottom, but you can if you like. Now once those pieces are painted, go ahead and grab those candle holders and apply 2 coats of the paint to them. We want to make sure we let them dry completely in between the coats. Now let's not forget those fence pieces we made for the vase too. Make sure you get the front and the back. So now that the tray and the candle holders are dry, we can distress them. Now I'll be using acrylic paints in the color Pavement and Wife to do this. We want to take our brush and we want to blend those 2 colors, dabbing off all of the excess, and then lightly paint the pieces, adding a distressed look. We want to make sure we highlight those creases. And we're going to repeat this for the tray as well. So while those dry, go ahead and grab those napkin rings, and we're going to use 4 from the package. Now I'm going to be using this twine to wrap around the napkin rings to use its feet for my tray. So I'm going to trim off the edge, and I'm going to start applying that twine around the ring, applying the hot glue as I go. And here's what it should look like. So now that we have those done, we can apply these to the bottom of the tray. Now I'm going to apply some E6000 and then follow up with a few dabs of that hot glue. That'll give me an instant hold. Then I'm going to apply 1 ring in each one of the corners. Now once applied, I'm just going to follow up a little bit of hot glue on the inside of the ring for a little extra hold. And now we're going to add that fence piece to our glass vases. So just slide on a fence piece to each one of the vases. Then we can go ahead and do any necessary trimming to even it out. And then I'm going to start applying E6000 and hot glue and add it to the cut pieces of the fence. Now those fence pieces may not be flush, but we're going to go ahead and tie some string around it or we can use a rubber band to make sure it fits tightly against the vase. Now for the bottom part of that vase, we're going to add some twine to match the feet of the tray. I'm just going to start by adding a bit of that adhesive and start wrapping the twine around the bottom. And then I'm going to repeat this for the second vase. So then I'm going to flip them over and I'm going to clean the bottom with some alcohol so we can adhere the candle holders. So now we're going to apply a generous amount of that E6000 around the top of that candle holder and follow up with a few dabs of hot glue for that instant hold. And then we're going to place it gently into place. Now while those dry, we can work on our tray, so gather up your fence pieces and the tray bottom. Now we're going to start by adding the front and the back pieces of the tray. We want to make sure the centers are marked on the bottom so we can place everything correctly. Now add some E6000 and hot glue to the back of the fence piece at the 3 contact points. And then we want to align that fence along the edge, making sure the center points line up with your marks. Now we want to repeat this for the front and back and clip into place while it dries. And now we're going to go ahead and apply the sides of the tray. Now in order to align the ends with the front and the back pieces, I'm going to mark and trim off about 1 inch from the bottom. And now you just want to take your trimmed piece and transfer those marks to that one as well. And now we're going to apply our E6000 and hot glue. And we're going to place those on the tray, aligning those center points. And then clipping those into place. Now you notice how those ends are longer, and this is where we're going to trim it down to make sure they actually fit. So we're just going to start trimming off the pieces little by little until you get that perfect fit. We want to make sure we repeat this for all 4 sides. Once perfect, now you just use your adhesive to connect the ends. Now the sides should nestle into the curved grooves of the front and back pieces. Now, as a last minute decision, I decided to add some nail head accents to the pieces using these Dollar Tree silver tacks. So I'm going to take a scrap piece of foam board and I'm going to place about 30 tacks in it. Now to give the nails a rustic look, I'm going to dab on some of that same pavement color acrylic paint to dull that shine. Now when that dries, I'm going to go ahead and cover them with a coat of Mod Podge to seal it in. Now once that dries, I'm going to go ahead and clip off the nail portion of the tacks so I end up with just a flat head. And then I'm going to take those and apply them to each end of the fence pieces on the tray and the candle holders as an accent. And here they are, applied to the tray. Once everything is fully dry, we can remove all of the clips, the string holding the fence pieces in place, and we're done. And here is that completed project. Oh my goodness, these pieces turned out so sweet and it looks so much like spring. I love how the rustic finishes of those items perfectly fit into my farmhouse cozy style decor. Adding your theme to customize the look enhances these pieces, and I am so in love with the spring lemons right now. These candle holders are super easy and can be used for a candle or even filled with your greenery or florals. And you can place anything on these trays that you like, and it would be useful in any room of your home. I really hope that you all are enjoying these crafts so far, but I wanted to pop in really quick and let you all know that you could follow me on all of these platforms as CraftDee. So now let's jump right into that next DIY. So we'll need one of these metal vases from the Dollar Tree, and we'll also need a scrap piece of foam board from the Dollar Tree as well. I'm going to start by taking the vase, and what I want to do is I want to measure around the top opening, and I want to mark the half point at about 8.5 inches. You want to make sure you use the seam as a start point, so the seam will be on the opposite side of your mark. And then you want to do the same thing for the bottom of the container, and you want to mark it at about 5.5 inches. So now just take a straight edge and you want to draw a line connecting those marks. Now to cut the vase in half, what I'll be using are these tin snips. Now the edges of the container will be very sharp, so you want to make sure that you wear protective hand gloves. Now ideally you should use leather hand gloves, but these plastic coated gloves will work perfect. So you want to start cutting on the line in short snips all the way down to the bottom of the container. And then you want to cut the other side along the seam. So now that both sides are cut, you want to use the snips and cut across the center. You're going to go in from one side and make a couple snips, and then go in from the other side and finish off that cut. Now you just want to take your two pieces and even out and shape the edges the way that you would like them to look. So now you can grab your foam board and you want to lay your half piece on top of that foam board. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and trace the shape onto the foam board. And then grab your hot glue gun and go around that shape a couple of times with a bead of hot glue. And then you want to place that vase right on top of that glue. You want to nestle it into the glue and hold it in place until it sets. Now you want to trim off the excess of that foam board. And this is going to be for your other vase. And you just want to repeat this process with that other vase. Now when they're both adhered, you want to add a bead of glue to the inside edges of the vases for a little bit of extra security. You won't be able to get all the way to the bottom, but try to get as much of the sides as possible. So now I'm just going to take the X-Acto knife and I want to trim off that foam board close to the edge of the vase. And then you're going to repeat this for your other vase. So now that everything is nice and trimmed, we're going to blend in that cut foam board. So I'll be using some of this 99-cent Martha Stewart silver paint that I picked up from Tuesday Morning a while back. Now I'm just going to apply a coat of that paint to the exposed foam board edges. Now I'm also going to apply a bit of it a few inches down into the vase just in case it's exposed when on display. Now to make these hang, I am just going to cut and apply 2 pieces of jute string. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to knot the edges and fold it in half. And then I'm just going to hot glue it to the back of the sconce, and I'm going to do this for both sconces. Now once those are all dry, all you have to do is add the greenery of your choice and then hang these up and put them on display. And here is our wood and faux iron wall art piece along with the sconces. I just love how these turned out. Sconces turned out super cute as well, and it's so easy to change up the greenery with the seasons. Let me know in the comments what you think about this project. Now for this project, we're going to need 3 of these wood crates from the Dollar Tree. And we're also going to need a pack of these 5-gallon paint stir sticks from Lowe's for 98 cents. Now the first thing you want to do is to take that pack of stir sticks, and we're going to measure at about 17.5 inches down. We're going to make a mark, and we want to cut off that handle portion of those stir sticks. Now once you cut them off with your saw, here's what it looks like. Just go ahead and remove 2 of those sticks from the package for this project. So now that you have that cut, we're going to protect our work surface, and we're going to be staining all of our wood pieces. Now I'm going to be using Early American stain for this project. Now I'm also going to stain 4 of these quart craft sticks as well. So I'm going to go start to apply my Early American stain to all of my pieces, and I'm going to stain the front, back, and the ends. Now you could sand off those numbers from the stir sticks if you want to, but it doesn't matter, that part will be facing down. So we're going to start off, we stained those 5-gallon stir sticks. Now we stained those quart craft sticks, and then we are going to stain our crates. And now that it's all stained, we're going to go ahead and wipe them all down with a paper towel to remove any excess stain, and this will allow them to dry a lot faster, and you want to let them sit for about 1.5 hours. So now everything is dry. You want to gather up all of your stained pieces so we can assemble our piece here. So we're going to start by covering up the holes on the side of the crates, and we're going to be using those quart craft sticks, and we're going to just cut pieces down to size that will cover up the holes on the inside of those crates so you don't see inside. Add a dab of that hot glue on each side of that stick and just press it gently over that hole until it's covered, and you want to repeat this for all of your crates as shown here. Now once everything is dry, we get to start assembling our stand. Now I'm just going to grab a piece of wood just to make sure everything stays nice and even, and that middle crate will be offset as shown here. Now you want to bond these together with some wood glue and let it sit until it's tightly bonded. Now once it dries, everything is nice and secure as shown here. So now we're going to flip it with the bottom side up, and we want to grab those 2 5-gallon stir sticks. We are going to apply one at the front and the back edges, leaving a tiny gap in the middle, and we're going to apply this with some wood glue. Now once that wood glue is nice and set and those pieces are bonded in place, we're just going to cover up that gap by cutting down one of those quart craft sticks, and we want to stick it right in the center there, overlapping that opening and securing that with wood glue as well. And now we have the little opening at the shelf piece, so you can add little trinkets to the bottom of your display. Now I wanted to add some little handles. I got these from Amazon. I'll link them in the description box below, and I'm going to place one in the center of the front of each crate as shown here. Now once they're in the center, I'm just putting a dot of hot glue on there, and this is just to hold it in place while I secure these with the screws that they came with. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some of those screws. They're really small, so they should go in fairly easy without pilot holes. You just want to carefully drill them in through the holes until they are nice and secure. And here is the final project all on display, and I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Now I've added some plants from IKEA to these to give them a really fun and beautiful look. Now this project is a wood bead tassel decor accessory. Now I'm going to use some of that cotton yarn that I got from the Dollar Tree on my last haul. And I'm going to be using some 20mm wood beads, and I did get these from Amazon, and I will link them in the description box below. So I'm going to start off with my cotton yarn, and I'm going to cut a double piece at about 18 inches. You can make this as long as you like, but about 18 to 20 inches is what I have my piece here. And then I'm going to take a piece of cardboard that I folded in half, and it's about 4 inches wide. When I fold it in half, it's 2 inches on each side. So what I'm going to do is take the center of my strand that I just cut, and I'm laying the center across the middle of the board, and then starting to wrap that additional yarn off the skein all the way around it until I get a thickness that I'm happy with for my tassel size. Now I'm just going to cut it off, and now that's all wrapped around, I'm going to take that piece and loop it around that I just cut for my length, and then I'm going to tie it in place. Now I'm going to tie it about 2 or 3 times really tight at the top. Now once that's tied really tight, you can go ahead and remove it from your cardboard piece, and now you have a little almost looking tassel-like end. So now you're going to lay it across another end of that yarn, and then we're just going to tie the end of the yarn from the skein across the top of the looped area 2 or 3 times. And then just start wrapping it around several times until you're happy with what it looks like, and then tie it around in place. Now when you tie it around in place and cut it off, I'm just tucking in that tie behind my little loops that I made. This way it's nice and hidden and looks nice and clean. Now for your looped ends, I'm going to straighten them out as much as possible with my fingers. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut them off nice and even along the end. Now you may need to make a couple cuts just to make these perfect. Just keep combing them with your fingers between them. You could use a Dollar Tree comb or pick too to help with you if you need to make this a little straighter. So once you get it all nice and cut, you could just fluff it out, and now you have one of your tassel ends at the end of your double string. So now I'm going to take my little yarn needle that I had here on hand. They also have needle sets at the Dollar Tree you could use. So I'm just going to go ahead and thread both of those pieces of string through my yarn needle, and then start threading on your beads. You can add as many beads as you like. Again, this can be as long as you like, so I'm just going to add them until I have at least about 6 inches of yarn left at the very end. So here's everything all beaded onto my strand and ready to go. So now we're going to add a tassel to this end. So I'm going to remove my needle and open up my 2 strands, and I'm going to lay them in between my cardboard as shown here and kind of close it up. Now to keep those strands in place, I'm just going to tape them right on the inside with some painter's tape. Then I'm going to close that cardboard and then start again wrapping around that yarn, and this will be forming my second tassel. Now once you get enough on there, we're just going to just pinch and squeeze that cardboard together so we can get in there and remove that painter's tape, and then tie the 2 ends of my beaded garland around that tassel part, and then remove it from the cardboard. And then we're just going to repeat the process again. We're going to take that yarn and we are just going to wrap it around near the top to secure it all in place. And then you're going to cut and tie it. And don't forget to tuck it in with your little embossing tool from the Dollar Tree. We're going to go ahead and straighten those ends, and then I'm going to take the other tassel end and sit it right next to it, because what I want to make sure is that both of my tassels are the same size. So I'm giving it one initial haircut. I line it up with the other tassel, and then I'm lining it up here, and then I'm making sure they're about the same size, and then just keep fluffing and cutting until you get the cut that you are looking for. But once you do that, that is it. Such a quick and easy project to make. And there you have it, a beautiful bead decor piece that is ready to use. Now these are so simple to make, and you save so much money making them instead of buying them. And the great thing is that you can customize them to match your own decor. Now, I had so much fun creating these projects with my Dollar Tree haul items today, and of course I do love them all, but you'll have to let me know in the comments which one is your favorite today. Listen, I hope that you guys were inspired by these creations and will give these projects a try. If you love DIYs on a budget, please give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She's So CraftDee on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. Now also be sure to subscribe by clicking on my She's So Crafty logo on your screen and hit that bell to be notified when the next DIY goes live. It doesn't cost a thing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.